Let me start with a situation that's probably going to feel very familiar. You're trying to save, you're cutting back, you're saying no to things you actually want, and after months, sometimes years, you finally look at your account and think, wow, I'm actually doing it. You hit your first real milestone, 10,000, maybe 20, and everyone tells you the hard part is over. But then something weird happens. Progress slows down, motivation fades, and the next big milestone feels much farther away than it should. If you've ever thought, why does this feel harder now, not easier? This video is for you. My name is Jerry, and I spend way too much time thinking about how people actually build wealth over time. If you're someone who can save a little, but struggles to scale that progress into something meaningful, or feels stuck after your first financial win, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Here's the thing. The advice that gets you to your first $20,000 is not the advice that gets you to your next $100,000. And confusing the two is where a lot of people quietly stall out. Challenging the common belief. We're taught a very simple story about money. Be disciplined, budget harder, avoid small purchases, stay consistent, and if you do that long enough, wealth just happens. But that story leaves out something important. According to surveys from major financial institutions, a large percentage of people who manage to save their first meaningful amount never reach six figures in net worth, even after years of earning more. That's not because they suddenly became irresponsible. It's because discipline has diminishing returns. The first $20,000. Discipline works. Let's be clear. The first $20,000 is about discipline. It's about saying no, tracking spending, building habits, proving to yourself that you can delay gratification. This phase is mostly behavioral. You earn $50,000, you spend $48,000, you save $2,000. That gap, even if it's small, is created by discipline, and that's a huge win. But here's what most people don't realize. Discipline works best when the numbers are small. Why discipline stops scaling. This is where it gets really interesting. Let's say you save $5,000 per year. To reach your first $20,000, that takes 4 years. That feels achievable. But to reach $120,000 at the same pace, that's 24 years. And here's the uncomfortable part. Most people don't want to live in discipline mode for 24 years. They burn out. The psychological shift. No one warns you about. Early on, discipline feels empowering. Later, it feels restrictive. Why? Because humans adapt. What once felt like progress starts to feel like stagnation. You're doing all the right things, but the reward curve flattens. This is where people start making subtle changes. Upgrading lifestyle, loosening rules, justifying spending because I've earned it. Not because they're weak, but because discipline alone is exhausting. The math that changes everything. Let's look at two people. Person A saves $5,000 per year through discipline. No structural changes after 10 years, $50,000. Person B also saves $5,000 per year, but reduces one fixed cost by $500 per month. That's $6,000 per year. Now they're saving $11,000 annually. After 10 years, $110,000. Same discipline, different structure. This is where wealth actually accelerates. The next $100,000 is about structure. Once you pass the early stage, wealth becomes less about restraint and more about design. Designing lower fixed costs, higher margins, systems that don't rely on constant willpower. Now you might be thinking, so discipline doesn't matter anymore. It does, but it stops being the main driver. A simple analogy: think of discipline like pushing a car. At first it works, you can move it, but eventually you need an engine. Discipline pushes, structure pulls. And most people keep pushing long after they should have built an engine. The hidden enemy: fixed costs. Here's what most people don't realize. It's not the $5 coffee that limits wealth. It's housing, transportation, insurance, subscriptions that quietly became permanent. These costs scale with income, and unless you actively resist that, your progress stays capped. Why raises don't feel like progress. This explains something many people feel but can't articulate. They earn more, but don't feel richer, because each raise is absorbed by structure. Bigger rent, better car, more convenience. So discipline has to work harder just to maintain the same savings rate. That's not growth, that's treading water. The psychological trap. Here's the deeper issue. Discipline is framed as a moral virtue. Structure isn't. So people feel guilty for wanting systems instead of rules. But rules require constant attention. Systems work quietly. 3 actionable shifts you can make. 1. Stop optimizing small decisions. Budgeting every purchase won't get you to $100,000 faster. Instead, focus on decisions you make once: where you live, what you drive, what commitments you lock into. One good structural decision beats 1,000 disciplined ones. 2. Increase margin. Before income. Most people chase raises first. Instead, widen the gap between income and obligations. Margin creates psychological relief. Relief improves decision-making. Better decisions compound. 3. Let discipline graduate into automation. Automate saving and investing, not because it's efficient, but because it removes emotion. If progress depends on how motivated you feel each month, it's fragile. The story most people miss. The people who quietly build $100,000 plus net worth don't feel more disciplined. They feel less stressed because their system does the work. That's the difference. The big takeaway: the first $20,000 proves you can be disciplined. The next $100,000 requires something else entirely. It requires stepping back and asking, is my financial progress coming from effort or from design? Because effort plateaus, design compounds. Look, if you've saved your first meaningful amount, you didn't get lucky. You built discipline. Now it's time to build structure. If this video helped you see money differently, hit the like button. It really helps the channel. Subscribe if you want calm, honest explanations about money that focus on long-term thinking instead of quick wins. And ask yourself tonight, where am I still relying on discipline when I should be redesigning the system? Because once structure takes over, progress stops feeling hard and starts feeling inevitable.